Great to have you with us on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Randy Karraker. And Bernard, it's always good to see you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to the Karrakers. What do you do, man? I forget. I've known you for a long time, and I know you're very, very good at preparing meals, especially if it involves grilling or smoking. But I know what you do on Thanksgiving. Do you do anything along those lines for Christmas in terms of a holiday meal? You get the smoker out, you get the grill out?
No, and I should. That's a tradition worth exploring. Normally, it's carry out. Like we go to Maggiano's and get carry out from Maggiano's, and their food is great, right, and it's terrific. And so that's pretty much what we do. It's very low key. How about you?
Yeah, same thing. We will have my wife's family over on Christmas Day, and it's always low key because it's a small family. But we have a good meal. My wife will make some. She makes this delicious pasta, a bolognese. We'll have that, and then the day before on Christmas Eve, going to go back to my roots, so to speak. We are going to put on a big old pot loaded with lump crab meat, a Maryland style crab soup. So
there we go.
Yeah, it's right.
Love that.
That's a delicacy.
Yeah. Okay, so back in the day, Kirsten would put a lot of trees up. Is that still the case?
Oh yeah, I've got we've got one in the living room, one in the dining room, but it's all like one big room, so we can see both trees. Mm-hmm. She's got another tree in kind of the guest bedroom area, which is kind of like a suite. It's like two rooms. So, and I got one. I wish I could flip the camera and show it to you. I have one, a little tree up on where my TV is. It's got great ornaments that go back to my past, like you got a Navy football ornament. Nice. You got something about the beach. You got a photo of my mom and dad on the beach, things like that. It's really wonderful. So she does a fantastic job. This house is just gorgeous at this time of year.
Awesome. Good. Hey, let's talk a little bit. Let's start with the Cardinals because people want to hear about the Cardinals. Dustin May meeting with the media via Zoom. And obviously, when you sign as a free agent, you're about to get $12.5 million. You're going to be excited. But Bernie, we've talked about how he fits for the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals fit for Dustin May is really good too. I think this is an opportunity for him to, it's not necessarily a pillow contract. It's a prove it. It's a prove yourself contract for him where he can make himself a lot of money.
Yeah. And the Cardinals have basically very little liability. In other words, they clearly believe he has upside, and I do too. And knowing how smart they are now, and Matt Pierpont, their pitching director, there's no doubt in my mind that they have a game plan in mind for him to make his sinker better, maybe to introduce a new pitch or get him to throw the four-seam fastball more. They definitely have a plan. They're just not going to say, oh, here's the ball, go pitch. They wanted him for a reason. They think they can really do something with him. But if it doesn't work out, if he doesn't sort of get back into the form that they hope, or if he has another catastrophic injury, which obviously, for his sake, I hope that's not the case. Mm-hmm. They pay him for 1 year, and that's the extent of their liability. I mean, when you sign a pitcher to a long-term contract and that's expensive, and he has a breakdown or two, man, that's just sunken costs. But in this case, they really don't have that much to lose, especially with the payroll being as low as it is. I think there are reasons for doing this and structuring the contract the way they did. I thought it was really smart, but it's also kind of a no-brainer,
Yeah. And one of the things the Cardinals have to do, and I get that they have a lot of young relief pitchers and they have people capable of taking over that closer role, but they did trade 3 veterans at the deadline last year. And I do think, and I've talked to people in the organization about this, I think they need to have a veteran reliever. Brad Thompson always touted the praises of Russ Springer. He said he was a huge guy for us, teaching young pitchers in the bullpen how to be relief pitchers. Andrew Kittredge did that for a year. Last year it was Maton. I still think that is an avenue that the Cardinals need to take, is to get that veteran reliever. Maybe he's a setup guy, not necessarily a closer, but just somebody to be down there with those other young relief pitchers.
No, it well said. Not much to add because it was perfect the way you explained that. But yeah, I think that that's the thing about rebuilding, generally speaking, the Cardinals are going to go young, and they should go young, and they've got some really promising talent on the way. But I think when you're in the first year of a rebuild, it's good to have some of those old heads around just to help the manager, the coaching staff, calm the youngsters down or lead them through situations and, explain that this is how you deal with this. The young guys will go to get advice for them, and they're a great touchstone. I actually think Dustin May, and he talked about it on the Zoom today, I actually think he can fill that role with some of their young starters, because this guy's only 28, but the point is he has seen the very best of the game where he's been on top, and he has had to endure physical setbacks like a catastrophic illness where he could have died, where he has been at the top of the mountain and he has been way deep down in the valley. And he seems like a guy that has accumulated a tremendous amount of perspective because of what he has been through, all his trials, and understanding how tough and almost unfair this game can be, so that's a good guy to have around young starting pitchers, I think.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. And when he was a young pitcher, obviously he joined a staff that had Clayton Kershaw, and he talked about how he had guys on the Dodgers team that kind of showed him the ropes, and he wants to do that. And organizationally, he was with a great group of people, obviously, because they won the World Series in 2020. He was on a world championship team until he got traded this year. I think there's something to be said for young people being taught how to win, especially over the course of a 6-month season. It's really hard to win at baseball, and having that knowledge. And I think, by the way, that's why Bernie, if they trade and get something for Willson Contreras, fine. But I wouldn't be bothered if Willson Contreras is still on this team, because I think he brings that same sort of element for the young players.
I totally agree. Yeah, I don't know if the word is ambivalent. If they got a great offer for Contreras, and I'm not sure they will, but if they did, they might have to do it. But I'm like you, man. You and I are both fans and admirers of Willson Contreras. I've always been a little bit puzzled by the fact that he's not more popular. I think he is. I think he is popular. I think most fans appreciate it. But man, there's a really noisy faction that you would think this guy was, would go up there with like some of the most horrible signings of the John Mozeliak era or something. I mean, it's really strange. He's been a really good Cardinal. And as I keep repeating it, in his 3 years as a Cardinal, he's been the 9th best right-handed hitter in baseball. And then they move him to first base, and he becomes I think he was tied. I think he was the 3rd best first baseman defensively in the majors last year. He plays hard. He's tough as hell, competes. He's got an edge. And he also still has one of the fastest bats and hard hit rates in Major League Baseball. So, yeah, I'd be good with him around. I think he would be a really valuable presence.
And by the way, one of the things that is missing in baseball a lot, and it's nothing new, is guys that actually have fun playing. And I think a lot of times young players, they're just their heads are spinning so much that they forget about having fun. Or sometimes you have a veteran team. They used to call them briefcase teams. The Yankees were one of those with with Jeter and that gang, Jeter, Posada, and Bernie Williams. And they brought in a nutty guy like Nick Swisher just to loosen things up in the clubhouse. I think there's something to be said for that, with especially a young group that is they don't know how to be a major leaguer, and this team has fun. But I think having a veteran that shows them that, hey, this can be fun regardless of what our scenario is, baseball should be fun. We're playing a game, right? And so I think that's another valuable part of having a guy like Contreras on a team.
Yeah, I mean, as you were talking, and I was smiling because I was just thinking about what that clubhouse would be like with Contreras and JJ Weatherhold in it, and I'm sure will become good friends and brothers, because JJ Weatherhold has got exactly the kind of personality and attitude and charisma and flair. And he just loves the stage. He loves the big moments. He wants to be great. And Contreras is a guy that is really intense and wants greatness as well, and really, really cares about what he does. Those two together would be a lot of fun. And then wait till if Contreras is not traded, and then next year, I don't rule out 2026, but in 2027, Joshua Baez will be up here. He's another guy. Tremendous athlete, got a lot of flair. He's got a rocket arm. He can steal 50 bases. He can hit 25 home runs. I mean, another guy that really wants to kind of show off his talent, not in a bad way, but this team needs personality. And to your point, what better veteran to put in the middle of that than Willson Contreras, who has a tremendous personality and a competitive edge?
Bernie and I we'll have more Cardinal talk later on in the show. But Bernie, I want to get to Bo Pribula. The reports coming out on Thursday morning that Pribula has told Mizzou, and now Eli Drinkwitz verifying that Pribula is going to enter the transfer portal. He won't play in the Gator Bowl. And there's probably a couple of things here. My first thought when I read that he was going to enter the transfer portal was he probably got going in practice and recognized that Matt Zollers was getting reps with the number one team. And he was making $1.5 million. There are reports that he could get $2 million in the portal. And if there's a question about his viability as a starter next year, and he thinks that Zollers is going to be the guy, I don't blame him for trying to find a place where he can be the number one guy. Maybe that's Penn State. They only recruited 2 players this year. Maybe it's James Franklin at Virginia Tech. Maybe it's somewhere else. But maybe there's a place for a guy who did have a good record as a starting quarterback.
I'm not, I don't want to be a jerk, but I saw enough of him to where I really believe that losing him is not a big deal. And by the way, I'm not just saying this because he's leaving. I mean, on STL Sports Central, I wrote a couple of different pieces about how his performance had started to really deteriorate. I mean, there's a lot of bad interceptions, right? Didn't have the arm strength to throw just to create a downfield passing attack. Mizzou's passing attack last season was, if you add up all the traditional stats and all the metrics, they had the least effective passing game in the SEC. And I know that they're fueled by the running game, but they're going to have to be able to throw the ball more effectively downfield. Zollers has the kind of arm that can do that. So I really appreciate the style and the competitiveness and the leadership of Bo Pribula, but they just can't continue to have such a mediocre passing game. And his, after a really good start, he had a lot of bad interceptions. He had 2 against Alabama. He had 2 against Oklahoma. He had 1 or 2 against Auburn. In fact, he ended up with more interceptions than touchdown passes. And if a team that aspires to be in the upper half of the SEC, you can't have that.
You mentioned the key phrase there. Once they started playing in the SEC is when his game deteriorated, right? He's playing against faster defensive backs, guys that are going to play in the NFL where the windows don't stay open as long. And he doesn't have elite arm strength. He doesn't have elite arm talent. And that, to me, is the biggest factor. And once you see him play against, as you said, the Alabamas, the Auburns, who had a good defense this year, the Oklahomas of the world, you kind of get an idea, okay, that it's not going to happen. And the other part is he couldn't throw the ball downfield either. He's, I don't know. I remember we both thought that in the first part of the season, maybe they were just holding him back to show the arm strength to the SEC, but then they never used the deep throw with him. And that tells me that he probably doesn't have elite arm strength, which is something in this offense that you need.
Absolutely. and also I thought he would be more of a factor in terms of like doing a lot of damage running the ball. Maybe they wanted to limit that a little bit. I also appreciate his competitive character, the way he came back from that injury. Again, I like the guy. I'm just saying they need to have a stronger arm quarterback that could prevent defenses from ganging up on Ahmad Hardy next season. And just generally speaking, just say, we don't have to worry about the pass. We don't have to worry about anything down the field. Let's just gang up here. We'll play tight to the line of scrimmage. I'm not going to just read you a lot of numbers here, Randy, but last season, Mizzou, and these are in the power conference rankings, all power conference teams, 68 teams, right? Mizzou was 50, they were hold on one second. I'm sorry, man. They were 52nd in completion percentage. They were 56th in on target rate, 57th in catchable ball rate. They were way down there in yards per passing attempt, way down there in the 50s. They were 51st in interception percentage, 49th in touchdown percentage. I mean, on and on and on and on. They were down, they were down among the 68 power conference teams. I'm looking at my pad and I see nothing but 50s and 60s in the rankings. Mizzou's, they got to be better than that. There's no choice. And I think, listen, Zoller's contributed to some of the interceptions and things like that, but what do you expect? I think he'll be so much better next season. And it's great that the Gator Bowl will just give him more reps. He needs reps more than anything. Hey, one other thing. Can I go back real quick?
Sure.
About Probulo. You're absolutely right. He probably sees or sense that they wanted to go with Zollers in the Gator Bowl, right? And I think he could read the writing on the wall, as the old cliche goes. But I'll tell you another theory that someone at Mizzou told me, and I think that it's a theory. It's not confirmed, but I think it makes sense. I think maybe Mizzou wants to take some of the Probulo money and give it to Zollers.
Yeah, that's $1.5 million.
Right? Because I think I don't think Zollers wants to go anywhere, but I'm pretty sure Coach Strink, it's like, well, this is going to be our guy. And we need to show him how much we appreciate him. Let's feather his nest a little bit. And Probulo is just going to have to understand. Like I said, that seems like a plausible theory to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bernie, I think one of the things, and it's a shame about college football, and I think it's always been this way, but with the transfer portal now it's changed. There used to be such thing as a role player. Nobody thinks they're a role player anymore. A guy like Marquise Speedy Johnson is a role player, but he doesn't believe he is, so he's entering the transfer portal. A guy like Joshua Manning doesn't believe he's a role player, so he's entering the transfer portal. Now Mizzou is going to have to backfill at that position and a couple of other positions. I don't think that these players are told that 1.6% of college football players get drafted to the NFL. And obviously less than that make the NFL. I wish parents would teach kids that, hey, it's not a bad thing to be a role player. It's not a bad thing to be not the best guy on your team, but to fill a role and help a team win, because it's like almost every player thinks they're going to play in the NFL when the fact is that 98.4% of them aren't even going to get drafted.
That's exactly right. I'm like you. And here's the deal. I don't mind it. First of all, it's a young man's life. He can do what he wants.
Yeah.
And we both back him up that way. But when these guys transfer, I hope they transfer for the right reasons, not because they have visions of grandeur, which you basically referred to, not because they think they're a superstar in waiting and maybe overestimate their own talent. But I will give you an example. It's an obvious example of a guy who transferred for the right reasons. Kawan Lacey, who was on Mizzou's team last year. Lane Kiffin said, look, they've got a lot of great running backs. And it's impressive, but if you come here, you're going to be our horse. Well, you'll get the ball all season long. You're going to be our guy. Now, that's a reason to transfer, right?
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, and I would have to think, I would not be surprised. I don't think anybody should if Lacey is the opening day running back for LSU next year, right? Because
Right.
same situation applies.
Right.
He knows the offense. He knows the coach. He trusts the coach. And that is one situation where absolutely the transfer portal is a good thing. If a coach leaves, the players should be able to go with the coach, because let's be honest about it. And this has always been the case. Players didn't ever go to college for the college. Players go to college for the coach and for the program and for the sports stuff. I don't think that at Power 4 schools like Mizzou and Kansas, let alone places like Texas and Oklahoma, I don't think players ever have attended colleges for the college itself.
As time goes on, that becomes more obvious. It was apparent, but now I think it's obvious.
Yeah.
So
and best of luck to those guys and Bo Prabula. And oh, by the way, one of the other things Mizzou has to do now is find a backup quarterback for Matt Zollers, because the Brett Brown is a fifth-year senior. He actually left the program, and then when Horn got hurt, he came back to the program, but he's not going to be around next year. So Eli's going to have to come up with a backup quarterback for Matt Zollers too.
Yeah, and that's an interesting question. Because I was wondering, okay, we know that he really loves Matt Zollers. Okay. And again, I think the kid's going to be so good, but does he want to go out into the portal and get a guy who is absolutely going to come in as a backup, or does he want to go up the ladder a little bit and get somebody who can maybe turn it into a competition? I got mixed feelings about that. I don't think Zollers, from what we saw from him in terms of his attitude and, his desire to be great, there's nothing soft about the kid. I don't think he needs anyone to push him, but they do need insurance. So maybe Drinkwitz can find that sweet spot where you're not bringing in a guy that you say, well, the job's wide open, but the kid that he brings in to be a backup kind of knows what his role is going to be and will make an effort to fulfill it. He could put his ego aside, because like you just said 3 minutes ago, I mean, they all think they're the next John Elway or something,
And when you look at the landscape of college football and guys transferring, one guy who stuck with his program, and it was because he could play two sports, is Sam Horn. The best opportunity for Sam Horn might have been this coming season, but if I'm Sam Horn's parents, I say, you go play baseball, son. Yeah. You get with the Dodgers in spring training. Football is done. You've taken your shot there. It was fun while it lasted, but let's go play baseball because you got drafted there.
Absolutely. And the Dodgers paid him well too. No, I feel bad for him, because he really wanted to be a not only a Mizzou starting quarterback, but he's one of those, he wanted to be great. And he had the powerful arm that could have led him to be great. So it's just so strange the way his career just one bad break after another, it really a shame.
Yeah. By the way, and I know Matthew Rocchio is interested in this. And before we hear about DraftKings Sportsbook, I think that Sam Horn, should have changed numbers with what Dustin May is going to be. You should never have a quarterback in his 20s. You should never have a single digit pitcher. Those are two of my rules of thumb for sports, Bernie, and I'm going to stick by it till the day I die.
I think I could ride with you on that one. I don't like, especially single digit numbers for pitchers. I'm definitely with you on that one.
See, you and I, by the way, we're two of the people that remember John Hadel.
Right? Absolutely, from Kansas. Yeah, 21. He was number 21. I wonder why. Did they think he was going to be a running back or something? I don't know.
That might be. But John the last NFL quarterback to wear a number above number 19 was John Hadel. So there you have it.
I bet we'll see more of them,
I would think so. Yeah, the way things are going. Hey, Missouri, you can do a great thing for yourself and entertain yourself during this college football playoff season, because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is live here in Missouri. And with the college football playoffs starting, you can make every game even more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, props, and more, all from your phone. And it's all safe and secure and easy to use. And right now, if you're a Missouri customer, you can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. There's no waiting, no nonsense, just pure action powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. All kinds of great football. You got Saturday, Sunday, and Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday football. Plus, you've got the college football playoff. Plus, you've got college basketball and pro basketball in full swing. This is the time to get going. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code STL Sports. New Missouri customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code STL Sports. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Don't forget, if you want to watch the second half of this extravaganza, all you need to do is become an insider at STL Sports Central. Just go sign up right now. Go to stlsportscentral.com, sign up, and you'll have the opportunity to read all of Bernie's work, the greatest columnist in the history of St. Louis sports. You'll be able to watch Bernie and I, our entire episode here and every single week. Plus, you get incredible sports experiences like watching a Blues game with Jamal Mayers, get to interact with Kareem Rush